Sometimes in life, we can feel like we're at our lowest point. Circumstances overwhelm us, trauma weighs us down, and we wonder if we'll ever be able to overcome the challenges we're facing. It's in those moments that we need to be reminded that even when we feel completely broken, God is still able to step in and deliver us. The Bible is full of stories that illustrate this powerful truth, and one such story is that of Othniel. Othniel was a man who faced incredible adversity, but through his faith and trust in God, he was ultimately used by the Lord to bring deliverance to the Israelites. The story of Othniel is found in the book of Judges, which recounts a tumultuous period in the history of the Israelite people. After the death of Joshua, the Israelites began to turn away from God and fall into patterns of sin and idolatry. As a result, God allowed them to be oppressed by foreign powers, including the Canaanites who ruled over them for 8 long years. But even in the midst of this dark time, God had not abandoned his people. He raised up a man named Othniel to be the first of the judges who would deliver the Israelites from their enemies. Othniel's story is a powerful testament to the fact that no matter how broken or hopeless our circumstances may seem, God is able to use us and work through us to bring about his perfect plan. Othniel was the son of Kenaz, who was the younger brother of the famous Caleb. Caleb was one of the 12 spies that Moses had sent into the Promised Land, and he was one of only 2 who came back with a report of faith, believing that God would help the Israelites conquer the land. Because of his faith, Caleb was promised that he and his descendants would be given the land of Hebron as their inheritance. Othniel grew up in the shadow of his famous uncle, and it seems that he had inherited Caleb's strong faith and courage. When the time came for Caleb to claim his promised inheritance in Hebron, he offered his daughter Axerah's hand in marriage to whomever was willing to go and capture the city of Debir, which was also known as Kirjath-Sepher. Othniel stepped up and took on the challenge, launching an attack on Debir and emerging victorious. For his bravery and skill in battle, Othniel was rewarded with Axerah's hand in marriage. This was the beginning of Othniel's rise to prominence among the Israelites. But Othniel's story really takes a dramatic turn when we read about the state of the Israelites during the time he was called to be a judge. The Bible tells us that the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord, and that as a result, the Lord delivered them into the hand of Cushan-Rishathaim, king of Mesopotamia, and the children of Israel served Cushan-Rishathaim 8 years. Cushan-Rishathaim was the king of Aram-Naharaim, which was a region located in modern-day Syria. He had conquered the Israelites and forced them into subjugation, making them pay tribute and serve him for 8 long years. This must have been an incredibly difficult and humiliating time for the people of Israel. They had turned away from God, and now they were reaping the consequences of their sin, oppressed by a foreign power. But in the midst of this darkness, the Bible tells us that when the children of Israel cried out to the Lord raised up a deliverer for the children of Israel, who delivered them, Othniel the son of Kenaz, Caleb's younger brother. This is a powerful moment, because it shows us that even when we have turned away from God and found ourselves in a place of brokenness and oppression, He is still willing to hear our cries and raise up a deliverer to save us. The Israelites had sinned against God, but when they repented and cried out to Him, He responded by sending Othniel to be their judge and deliverer. Othniel's story teaches us that no matter how hopeless our circumstances may seem, God is always ready and willing to step in and work on our behalf. When the Israelites were overwhelmed by the power of Cushan-Rishathaim, they cried out to God, and He answered their prayer by raising up Othniel to be their champion. But Othniel's story doesn't stop there. The Bible tells us that the Spirit of the Lord came upon him, and he judged Israel. He went out to war, and the Lord delivered Cushan-Rishathaim, king of Mesopotamia, into his hand, and his hand prevailed over Cushan-Rishathaim. This is a profound moment, because it shows us that Othniel was not just a great military leader or a skilled warrior, he was a man who was empowered by the Spirit of God. When the Israelites cried out to the Lord, He responded by anointing Othniel with His Spirit and giving him the power and authority to go out and defeat their oppressor. Othniel's victory over Cushan-Rishathaim was not just a physical triumph, but a spiritual one as well. The Bible tells us that the land had rest for 40 years. This means that after Othniel's victory, the Israelites were able to live in peace and freedom for 4 decades. God had used this one man to bring deliverance and restoration to his people. When we look at Othniel's story, we can see that he was a man who was willing to step up and take action, even in the midst of seemingly hopeless circumstances. He could have looked at the power of Cush-and-Rishathaim and felt overwhelmed, but instead, he trusted in God and allowed the Lord to work through him. In the same way, when we find ourselves in difficult or broken situations, we need to have the faith and courage to cry out to God and trust that He will respond. Even when everything around us seems to be falling apart, God is still in control, and He is still able to use us to bring about His perfect plan. Othniel's story is a reminder that God can take something that seems completely broken and use it for His glory. The Israelites were in a state of oppression and despair, but God raised up Othniel to be their deliverer. And in the same way, God can take our brokenness and use it to bring about amazing things. Perhaps you are feeling broken right now, overwhelmed by the challenges and difficulties you are facing. Maybe you feel like you are at the end of your rope, with no hope in sight. But Othniel's story reminds us that even in our darkest moments, God is still there, ready and willing to step in and work on our behalf. Like the Israelites, we need to have the courage to cry out to God and trust that He will answer our prayers. We may not know exactly how He will deliver us, but we can be confident that if we put our faith in Him, He will use us to bring about His perfect plan. Othniel's story also teaches us about the importance of being willing to step up and take action, even when the odds seem stacked against us. Othniel could have looked at the power of Cush-and-Rishathaim and felt paralyzed by fear, but instead, he trusted in God and went out to fight. And because of his obedience and courage, God was able to use him to bring deliverance to the Israelites. In the same way, when we find ourselves in difficult situations, we need to be willing to step out in faith and do what God is calling us to do. It may not be easy, and we may face opposition and challenges along the way, but if we trust in God and allow Him to work through us, He can use us to bring about amazing things. Othniel's story is a powerful reminder that no matter how broken or hopeless our circumstances may seem, God is still in control. He is still able to work in our lives and use us to bring about His perfect plan. And when we have the courage to cry out to Him and trust in His power, He will respond by sending us the help and deliverance that we need. So if you are feeling broken and overwhelmed today, take heart and remember the story of Othniel. Allow it to encourage you and give you the strength to keep pressing forward, trusting that God is with you and that He will use you to bring about His perfect plan. With Him on your side, you can overcome any obstacle and experience the freedom and restoration that He longs to give you. Thank you for watching and may God bless you. See you next time.